SoFi investors, SoFi stockholders, why Monday could be huge for SoFi stock. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, money makers. SoFi had a really nice day on Friday, up 7.37%. SoFi stock ended up closing at $18.22. SoFi is looking really nice here. This came off of a news where SoFi announced that it was going to have America's first stablecoin issued by a real nationally chartered OCC regulated US bank. And this was going to be backed by the Fed. This had TradeFi and SoFi pop in. We saw this already happen pre-markets. You can see there was already that after Thursday, we saw that really nice movement pre-market in the morning when the news came out. And actually, it jumped all the way to 1977 there for SoFi. So if we take the end of Thursday to that high, actually, SoFi stock popped 16%, ended up pulling back a little bit, got a little bit too excited. I thought maybe during the trading day we would retest the high there, but that's going to be a level that we're going to be watching for next week. And I'm going to chart that out right now. It will be very interesting to see what happens here for SoFi stock. Please read the disclaimer. Like I said in disclaimer, I don't know what's going to happen exactly for SoFi stock and where potentially the stock could go. There are some factors that we need to take into consideration. Right now, the S&P 500 closed at its highest level on record and posted a 9-week win for the first time since 2023. This puts the S&P 500 up 20% since March 30th low, adding $11.4 trillion to the market in just 2 months. And the fact is that software and fintech actually had a very good month after previously in April and in March not doing so great because of Anthropic and Claude and everything that was going on there. And the semis, so we talk about semiconductors and that whole and memory, right? In on the channel as well in previous videos, maybe tonight or tomorrow we'll talk about that. But the semis continue to hold their momentum, implying that the market is finding some room for broaden, which feels healthier than one sector just leading the way. And so it will be very interesting to see what could potentially happen here for SoFi. And Orlando says here, it's interesting because we just had software stocks have their best month, and we've also seen stocks that were retail darlings and not have the best of times. Palantir, SoFi, Reddit suddenly start moving. So it wasn't just SoFi that started moving. The past few days, Palantir has also had very strong 2 trading days, kind of breaking out. So the question is, are these retail darlings starting to get more attention, more momentum? And then the question is, could potentially SoFi do what we talked about, having that double bottom, potentially breaking out here and crossing over on the 1348 EMA? It will be very interesting to see, can it get past those few levels that we just talked about? And can it potentially get over that pre-market level at 1980, which you can see is very, very close to that top that we had previously here on April 20th here for SoFi stock. So that's going to be very interesting to see what SoFi can do. It's looking like a very nice setup, but again, you see it. We have seen SoFi run from that double bottom, from that support zone previously when it ran up 33% in 16 days. So the thing is that we need to get momentum and then potentially break out there and see what happens. It will be very interesting to see what happens over the next coming days. The next, Monday is going to be critical because right now, the fact is that we don't know if there's going to be a deal, yes ceasefire, no ceasefire, between the Iran and the US. According to what the White House said, Iran must agree that they will never have a nuclear weapon or bomb. And the president is now meeting in the Situation Room to make the final determination. But then it came out that he actually left the Situation Room after 2 hours, and no deal potentially has been made, and that Iran nuclear issue has been, something that he's eminent about, has to happen, right? The nuclear thing has to be in the deal. And right now, it doesn't look like that's going to be a possibility. So again, over the weekend, we'll find out if that's going to happen. Are we going to potentially see the deal fall apart? And then, of course, it could be detrimental for the stock market. The stock market might freak out a little bit. Oil prices might pop after oil seeing its lowest level, basically since the end of April there, where we had that low, where it dropped even to 78. And so this could be a very critical situation. What's interesting now is actually the oil got that crossover on the 1348 EMA. So we'll see how that plays out. Is that any factor on oil prices? But if we just look at the stock market in general, like I said, all-time highs, Nasdaq, all-time highs, right? And so the market is stretched up significantly. And people will say, oh, it's going to collapse, right? But think about this. Previously, in previous times of the stock market, for example, after the pandemic, 2020, we had this amazing run up, this crazy, V shape, or I call it the Nike shape recovery, or the Nike, depending on where you are around the world, how you pronounce it. There was a pullback. Okay, so we did see about a 13-14% pullback there in 22 days, but then it continued to go up and it continued to rally. And there were always pullbacks along the way, right? There were pullbacks, but it continued to rise. And then we had this in 2022, we had that pullback. As you can see, there were people here, oh, it's over. If we go and we look at the S&P 500, you can see in that time frame, I was like, listen, I think we're going to have a pop up here and we're going to cross over 5,000. And eventually that's what happened. And potentially here we could see something similar. We could continue to see this rally, and it could even be prolonged for another 6 months, maybe towards the end of the year. There's going to be a pullback. And then the question is how hard the pullback is going to be. Is it going to be 25% for the S&P 500, which is a significant pullback? That we're going to have to see how that plays out. Again, I'm not a prophet. I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the market. A lot of people are already anticipating a significant pullback. But again, if the earnings continue to be very good, even if there's some world tension, and again, what could happen that was worse than what we saw now, actually WW3, right? Then that could be a situation where the world's another pandemic. I don't know, like aliens come, I don't try to take over the world. What could happen? I don't know. But I always have the monkey on my shoulder ever since October 7, 2023. I'm always ready that something can happen and things can change and things can kick off. So we'll see what's going to happen there. But it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. And people are already saying, like I said, the AI bubble is following exact script as the dot-com bubble. And the dot-com bubble, it popped. It took some time, and there were some pullbacks, but it continued to go, and then eventually it popped. And the companies that were strong and had income and had actual valuation survived, and the ones that didn't and were all dream or all hope, they collapsed. Same thing's going to probably happen here. There's probably too many AI companies and AI startups that are not going to survive this, but we'll see how that potentially plays out. But SoFi is not in that situation, right? But it will be very interesting. JP Morgan CEO just had this to say, right? Let me get this back on because I got a WhatsApp messages. So I turned off the sound. Here, let's listen to what Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, just said.
But is that who you were talking about when you said there's a lot of competition out there?
No. I was talking about Revolut and Stripe and Chime and Dave and SoFi and some of these companies, PayPal. They've done a great job in the past. There are companies that are doing things in small business which are really interesting. Capital One just bought one called Brex. And there are hundreds of them. And these are smart people trying to take a slice of your business or a bigger piece of your business. And Citadel has done a great job in trading. And so when I look at these things, I'm saying I tell my own people, open your eyes, look what they did. We didn't do it, and in some way we could have.
But is that who you were talking about when you said there's a lot?
So he's talking about how SoFi is basically taking the business that he wanted, right? And he's telling his people, let's copy them and do what they're doing. So again, it will be very interesting to see what potentially happens here with SoFi. I don't want you guys to get too excited with SoFi. I know that maybe other YouTubers or people that talk about the stock market are going to get a little bit more excited about this, nice day that we had here, 7%. But let's see it break out. Once we potentially see a breakout here, then I would be more optimistic about the current situation of SoFi. And it will be very interesting to see how potentially SoFi stock can break here, and or does it get rejected? We're going to find out. Monday morning will tell us a lot. Listen, if we have another attempt, like I said, pre-market, we did see it get to that level. And so potentially, if we do see that, we could potentially see a crossover on the 1348 EMA. The only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is that last time it ran up here, it went to the top of the stochastic RSI and it got rejected there. Right now, it's at the top of the stochastic RSI. It can live there for a while. And to break out, a SoFi would need to do about another 7%, 8%, and to break out there even more. So can Monday give us that 7%, 10% around that range? Yes, there's a possibility that it does that. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that plays out Monday morning. I think Monday will be a very critical day here for SoFi, and we'll see how that plays out. As always, don't forget to smash the like button. Check out the links in the description down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want some more stock market updates. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.